Hello everyone. So in my previous video we had checked how to create a data source in SSAS. In this video we'll check how to create a data source view using that data source which we had already created. In this video I'll cover various topics like creation of data source views, the basics of data source views and how it looks like. Then once the data source view is created, we will see how to explore the data inside the table so that you can do further analysis of the data and change the data source view the way you require it. We'll also see how to create a calculated column inside a table within the data source view, and we'll also check how to create a table in data source view using a query. That is, you can custom write the queries by joining multiple tables and create that as a table inside a data source view. We'll check that, and we'll also see how to establish relationship between the tables. Now that said, let's go to the demo. So this is where we had stopped in our previous video. We had created a data source, and now let's create a data source view. To create a data source view, it's simple. Right click on data source view and new data source view. Right, it gives you a wizard first, so let's click on next. This is a data source that is currently linked to this particular project. So I'll select the data source. If you have multiple data sources, then all of that will get listed in here, and you need to select the appropriate data source, and then you can click on next. But before clicking on next, you will see the provider is a SQL Server native client, and all the configurations that we are used in the data source is currently available in here. Next. Okay, since this is a demo, we'll select one of the easiest tables which we all can understand. You will see the entire list of tables which are available in this particular database, that is AdventureWorks Data Warehouse 2008. We have these set of tables and views. We can use any of this. Plus, if you want to use any of the system objects, you can use that as well. So if I click on system objects, you will see a lot more tables coming in. All the system tables and system views will be displayed in the list, and you can use this to create your cube as well. So I'll go ahead and uncheck this because we don't require it now. And if usually what happens is our data warehouse will have huge set of tables, not just restricted to 10 or 20 tables like what we have in here. So this filter comes handy usually. For example, if I type org, yeah, there it is. So if you're unable to locate the table from the list, you just may want to use the filter right now. Alright, so I have the entire list of tables in here. So we'll use the fact internet sales table for our demo. Click on this arrow for selecting one table, or you can also hold control and select multiple tables like this. Okay, and since I've selected this fact table, I can also bring in all the related tables by clicking on related tables. Alright, I don't require the fact internet sales reason, but I'll go ahead and keep it for now for the demo purpose. Next, I'll give an appropriate name for AdventureWorks. I'll give it as AdventureWorks DSV, data source view. Finish. That's it. We have created our first data source view, the simplest of all. So you can see that data source contains all the tables that we had chosen from the list. The fact internet sales, followed by all the dimension tables. If you see in here, you can see this is a pretty much a star schema, right? With the fact table in this middle, and we have a lot of dimension table around it. You'll also notice that dim products, which is in here. So what if I want to have add two more tables, dim product subcategory and category? So all I need to do is I can right click this, add or remove tables. Let's go ahead and add two more tables. Dim product category, alright, and dim product subcategory. Alright, okay. So you'll notice that as soon as the table comes in here, it will automatically establish the relationship with the tables. Now this is going to be a little clumsy because we have to arrange it again. Alright, so you can see there's a relationship that exists between dim product and dim category, subcategory, and then from category to product category, and subcategory to the product category. So this created now is more of a snowflake schema, I would say, to a certain extent, because we have a dimension which is broken down to multiple dimensions. So, yeah. All right, now we have created this. Most often what happens is that we may have to add a new column or new calculation to our tables. Especially sometimes it becomes a complex calculation, but usually I prefer calculations coming from the view itself if it's really complex calculation. But if it's a simple calculation, like for example what we have in here is dim customer. Dim customer has first name and last name, and we can combine these two to create a full name. Before that, let's go and explore the data which is in here. To explore the data in any of the table, all you need to do is right click on the table and click on explore data. So this would give you the complete view of the data that is available in the table, and also you can create a chart. If you want to do any kind of analysis, you can create a pivot chart or a pivot table. So for example, although it doesn't make sense in this particular table, you can always create a pivot table. Let's see if you can create a pivot table of this, if anything would make sense. No, nothing. Right, let me create a chart then. Okay, so I have created a simple chart wherein it shows what are the different type of education, right? The people educated in different language maybe. So this is one of the things. So I mean, here it may not be useful in this particular table, but when it comes to a fact table, yeah, this is one of the easiest good feature that we have. So you can explore the data and analyze the data before doing anything. So this particular feature, explore data, is one of the things which I wanted to show to you, especially when you have to do analysis. This comes handy. For now, I'll close this. I can see first name, last name. There are a lot of middle names which are null, and I'm not really interested in the middle names, so I'll just go ahead and create a calculated column with just first name concatenated with the last name. So let me close this table. I can right click on the table. To create a new calculation, we have a button in here which will allow us to create a new calculation. Now when you click on create new calculation, you'll get the column name, which is a new column name that you want to assign to the calculation. You can provide a short description if you prefer to, and you can provide the expression, that is the calculation, the actual calculation what you want to represent. So create it as full name, description, customer full name, expression as first name plus, I'll give a space between the first name and the last name. Alright, let's see how it comes. Yes, this is created now. So you can see it is the calculated columns are represented by a small calculator icon. Let me enlarge this further. Yeah, a small calculator icon. So this shows that these columns are created as a calculation. So you can also click on this and see the properties in here, and you will see the calculation which is used, or the expression which is used for this particular column, and a short description which I had specified, and other details. Let me zoom out the person. All right. Now this is for calculated columns, right? Now other thing which I want to show is creating a calculated or creating a table from a query. Now you can see here this is a snowflake schema with product subcategory and product category, right? What if I want to combine all these three things into a single you know, single table. Like for example, I have already created a query in my management studio with product category, and product subcategories. So I have joined product with product subcategory on the subcategory key, then with the product category on the product category key. So we can get everything in a single table. So if I execute this code, this is what I get. So here is the product name. Then we also have product subcategory and product category names. So this way it will be easy to create the hierarchies in the future. So I'll show that as well. So let me copy this, Control A, Control C. I've copied this code. What I can do is I can remove these two tables, right? Because I don't require additional relationships in these two tables. So remove this two table. I'll create a single product table with the subcategory and the product category available in this. Usually I prefer to do this using a view, but for the demo purpose I'll use a query. So it is always advised, if you have if you want to create a named query, instead of using a named query, it is always preferred to use a view, because it is usually easily manageable inside a view and you don't have to come and change the solution every time. And the view gives a lot more additional features like the security and other things which you can easily manage when it's a view compared to SSAS table. So I have the columns here, I have the query in here. So these small icons on top can be used to hide and show any one of the spots. So for example, this is for the diagram pane. If I do not want to see the diagram pane, I can hide it. I can hide the grid. Alright, I just get the query now, copy paste the query. Before going, I can actually run the query and check the results, or else I can also say verify the syntax. Since we have already run, let me just verify the syntax. Yes, the syntax is correct. Click on OK. Okay, so here you go. We have the entire list of columns available in here right now. Now this icon on top shows that it's a named query, right? Or a query for that matter. This is a named query, and this is a table, the one which I'm pointing to right now. The fact internet sales is a table, whereas this is coming from a query. So this is one way of identifying it, right? All right, and we also have the product category and subcategory listed in here, right? So now that's done. So now coming to the relationship, these are the relationships between the tables, right? So to identify, check what is the relationship that exists between the table, you can click on that small arrow, any of these arrows, and you'll see the relationship between these two tables is through currency key. So we have the currency table and the internet sales, and these two have been the relationship between these two. The primary key is the to foreign key relationship is using the currency key. This you can change it as well if you're really required to. For example, if there's no relationship between two tables, then what you can do is you can right click on a table, a field, and then set a logical primary key between these two tables. Now the problem with the logical primary key is that it works only during the execution time, that is the runtime. So if your table contains a lot of duplicates, or if your table does not contain, if your primary table does not contain a field that is a value that is available in your foreign key table, then it will throw an error, and this becomes really clumsy if you have to manage it. So I would usually not go with a logical primary key. I would always try to have a hard primary key, or else if it's really required, you can always go for the logical primary key as well. But it has its own problems, so be aware of that. Now, since we have created this is our DSV, I will also take you through the small icons on top. This is the same as add or remove objects. So by clicking on this, you can add new tables or remove an existing table from the DSV, or else you can also simply right click and delete table from a DSV, or add new columns, new tables to the DSV by right clicking on this table. You can also add new relationship, new named query, and new diagrams. Yeah. Now coming to the new diagrams, this is very important, especially in this setup. The demo, it looks pretty simple because we just have 5 or 6 tables, but in reality, when you work on the real environment, you'll have, I don't know how many tables, huge number of tables. So it becomes really difficult for you to manage each tables and the relationship between the tables, right? So we usually maintain different set. Although we'll have one table, one diagram with all the tables, we'll have multiple set of diagrams for each area or few set of tables. For example, if I click on a new diagram, I can call it as product by currency. All right. This new diagram, all I need to do is I can pull in all the tables that I require. Pull in internet sales. Let me pull product. All right, and currency. So I just require 2 tables. So this becomes very easy for. It doesn't change anything in the DSV. It's just for the easier maintenance and easier, visualization and other factors. So it lets you create this kind of an environment. Then any changes that you do on this will be reflected on the actual DSV and the actual tables as well. So it is pretty simple. It is not a standalone system. It's all combined together still. Bind it together, but it is easy for you to maintain and easy for you to use. Alright, that's pretty much what I wanted to cover in the DSV. If you have any questions, you can always post it here, or else you can also leave a comment. Plus also subscribe. I'll be posting a lot more videos in the future. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye.